Hello everyone and welcome to today's session. My name is Suri and I'll be your moderator today. I'd like to start by thanking everyone for joining us to learn more about the upcoming major and exciting release of VStitcher 8.0 and Lotta 4.0. Our developers have been working around the clock to perfect some amazing new features that we know you are going to love, including a new integrated ray trace engine, high-quality photorealistic images of fur, smart templates, adjustable smart shoes, and fully customizable smart buttons and zippers, along with many other surprises. We listened to you, our dear customers, and now it is done and ready. A true revolution. I would now like to introduce today's presenter, Uvonch, who will run through a demo highlighting just a few of the features we have been working on. We can't wait for you to see how this release will make it even easier to design and leverage 3D garments to shorten time to market and significantly reduce wasted resources for a better bottom line and a cleaner environment. A recorded version of this webinar will be available on our support website, so do keep a lookout for that. Following Uvonch's demo will be a short Q&A session, so if you think of questions while she's presenting, please post them on the right panel on your screen. There is also a one-to-one moderator's chat box available above the Q&A icon. We would love to hear from you and will be happy to answer any questions. Without further ado, Uvonch, the stage is yours.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming. And we are very glad to have you all here to share our new exciting features. We're going to start with, we're going to have a few workflows, and we're going to start with zipper, cut marks, multi-avatar workflow. And there are a few other things in there that you may find exciting. So here I'm in Lotta 4.0. And we're going to start with changing this design. Now I have this design and you will see that it already includes a smart zipper. Now I want to make it go all the way down. So I'm going to zoom in, select my existing zipper and delete that. Then I'm going to select my internal lines and extend them all the way down. Okay. Now I will select my zipper from my trims, use the assign tool, and very easily assign it on the body. Now once you dress, it will update your simulation and you can see your zipper on the body right away. Now, another new feature that we have with this new release is the cut marks within pen tool. You will notice that we actually have another option that is symmetry. And let me turn off cut mark for a second and show you what that does. Now, if I start drawing a pen line within Lotta, you will notice when symmetry is on, it will draw both sides. If I turn it off, I'm allowed to draw only one asymmetrical line. Now I can go to my select tool, select this line, and turn it into a cut mark on the side, or in the beginning, you could also choose this and make sure your line is a cut mark. Now what this does is that it will make the system recognize this area as a separate part. And you can easily drag and drop your new material there. Now, the good thing with the cut mark is that this will also be recognized in VStitcher. So both of these options are also in VStitcher. And it makes the communication between the two VStitcher and Lotta users much better. Another improvement that we have with this new release is that when you assign a seam texture on an area with a fill, you will still be seeing your seam textures around the edges. Normal. And if you have an artwork assigned, you can tell the system to move it below the seam or above the seam very easily in the context view. Now I'm going to undo these because I don't want them there. And you may notice I accidentally undid one step too far, but no fret. We can now actually redo our actions. And you can also use the history here to go back to a specific step from this list. Now that we are happy with our design, I want to send this to my VStitcher user, but before I do that, I want to add something more to it. Shoes. So in 8.0 and 4.0, you will have 5 shoes already coming in with the system that you can choose from, but users will also have the ability to import their own shoes if they want to do so. Now, once the shoe is fitted to the avatar, you will notice that it will actually follow the movement of the avatar too. All right. Now let's move on to the VStitcher side of this. Now I got my design from my designer, and I want to execute her designs on my system. Like we talked before, the cut mark here is selectable, and I can simply just select that and slice my patterns right away. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the internal lines here to remove the extra pattern pieces where I will be adding the functional zipper from here. From VStitcher, you can select the zipper in the same way as Lotta, but now the interesting part is that since we cut these pattern pieces, look how the zipper actually recognizes the patterns to be continuous. You can click on the 2 sides and it will recognize that it will go all the way down and make sure the zipper is filling to the bottom. Then we will adjust our cluster a little bit and hit press. And just like that, our design is already cut and pattern is ready with the zipper already excluded there. Another great thing you can do with the zipper is that if you select the zipper on your body, you can open it from our context view, and if you hit dress, it will update how far it is open. And if you would like to adjust it on 3D, you can also do so from there. Now let's say I want to add a different type of zipper to this. What I can do is go to the libraries in our materials tab, which will show you the browseware libraries, which will come with the system for everyone to use. And you can download from the cloud here the zipper. If it's downloaded, you can just click this plus sign and it will add it to your garment. Now, before I replace it, I want to create another colorway for this. Because I want to keep my first colorway as well. And very easily, I'm just going to drag and drop the new zipper on top of the old one, and it will replace it. Now for this colorway, I want to have my colors to be blue. So I'm going to quickly replace my reds with the blues that I have in my color palette here. Now, if I want to adjust my zipper to match my style, I can also go into the context view of my material and adjust everything from there. So let's say we want a silver metallic for the teeth. And then for the tape, we want to use the matching color from our garment. Okay. So I'm done with this colorway, but let's say I want to see them, see both of my colorways side by side here. Now what you can do is you can actually add another avatar which will display both of your colorways right next to each other. I'm going to show a short video of how that works. And you will see that you can see both of your colorways right next to each other. And this also works with design in sizes. So you can also see multiple sizes right next to each other. And it even works with multiple garments. So you could potentially see your whole collection side by side. Okay. So we're going to take a moment here. And I believe Shili is going to give you a poll to answer. Then we will move on to our next option, next workflow, which is the buttons. Okay, moving on to our next workflow, which is buttons. Now I have a garment here that is all done. We just need to button it up. Now here, we're going to use our new button option under trims. We're going to add one and it will bring us a smart button for us to use. Now, before I start adding it into my garment, I actually want to align my front pieces because you will see that there's an indication for me where to put the first button. I'm going to align the patterns and I'm going to select my assign tool and click once, click twice in the same area And once I move my patterns apart, you will see that VStitcher is actually recognizing that one side is the button and the other side is the buttonhole. And you can also switch the positions of these. Now, by default, it will be unbuttoned, but if I click this really nice animation there and hit dress, it will button my shirt up right away. Now I want to add more buttons going down, and I will add a couple more going up. First thing I'm going to do is select my button here, say clone by offset, so I don't have to add them one by one. And I will enter my measurements according to my tech pack, hit apply, and it will start going up there, and I can just hit dress and update my simulation. Now for going up, I'm going to do the same thing, clone by offset. This time I will go the other direction. I will create 2 copies. Okay. And then this first one, I don't want it to be buttoned, so I'm just going to leave it unbuttoned like this. Hit dress. Right. Very nice. Now let's say I want to change the color of my buttons here. If you select the material, you will notice that we have multiple areas that we can change the color of. This is because all of our buttons here are fully customizable. So for example, for my button, I'm going to select a nice red. For the threads, I'm going to go for an accent yellow. And you can choose to have the 2 threads be separate if you like. And for the buttonhole, I'm going to choose a dark red to match my style. Now, if I want to have another color of my button here, I can say clone button, select this one, and let's say I want an accent yellow button at the top. I can use this and simply drag and drop it on top of the existing one up there, and it will update it right away. Now we're going to look at another very exciting option feature that we have here, which is called V-Ray. It is a ray trace renderer directly embedded inside VStitcher or Lotta. So once you click your ray trace rendering window, it will render your image right there on the screen. Now, currently we are using a lighting setting that is soft light, but if you would like to change that, you can go ahead and select one of the HDRI files that actually has a background, and once you refresh your V-Ray window, you can even view the background within your ray trace rendering. And if you turn your avatar around and zoom in, this will also update in your renderer. So let us know what you think so far about the new features. You can either chat with our moderators on the right, or you can ask a question using the QA section. And we are going to move on. We are going to pause a little bit here to give you some time to post your questions. All right, we are now moving on to our next workflow, which is, I know, something everybody has been very excited about, and they have been waiting for this. So without further ado, let's go into FIR. Now, FIR works with our embedded V-Ray ray trace window. And the way it works is that you would have your material here, which is the material there. And you can activate use FIR on the context view, and you can select what type that you want. Here I'm going to select the shearling because it's the most fitting for my style. But it does also come with multiple presets that you can use, and you are also able to fully customize the length, thickness, and all these other sliders to your liking, and you can also save them and export them as presets yourself. And this also works with materials that have a print on it. So for example, here we're going to use a leopard print, and I'm just going to replace my previous material with that. And this will update in my ray trace window. Now, the good thing about this V-Ray is that you can save your image right away, right from this window. And if you choose to uncheck your show background, it will just come in with a transparent background. Another exciting thing that we have with this release is that, let's say you have your artwork here, the leopard artwork under the artwork subcategory. You can now, but let's say I want to add it to the cuffs. You can now move it right down here as edge assignable, which will turn it into a trim. Let me turn this off for a second. And use FIR on for that as well. And then you can assign it directly to the cuffs, which then when we go to our V-Ray window, you can see that the seam textures will also show up as FIR. So you can use this for hoods that have a FIR trim, and so on. Okay. So we are going to move on to our next workflow, after this, but before we move on, as another application of fur, you can also use it to simulate raw edges in your V-Ray window. We are going to give you a short moment here. If you have any questions to ask, please do so. Okay. Our next workflow is animation. I know a lot of people are so excited to see this. Now we're going to look at how that works. Now within VStitcher or Lotta, you will have this animation plugin. And you will notice that we have a animated avatar section in our menu here, and you will be able to select from the avatars that are animated. It will come in with 3 presets, so you can also use those, or you will be able to also import in your own animated avatars. Now, as for output, we have 3 options: MP4, animated GIF, or you can also choose to export all of these as a sequence of images. You can decide your frame rate and render type, either normal or ray trace. Now, before I go into my animation, I'm actually going to put some shoes on my guy here because I don't want him to run barefoot. Then you can click with garment, select preview, and it will start animating the preview here. You can also view it with the tension map on or off. So let me show you how that looks in the finished garment here. With the tension map on or off, and see it. And you can also export it as a GIF, which means you can now send animations of your garments to your colleagues through your emails. And as a surprise, we will send you this same GIF with a link to the recording of this webinar at the end. Now we're going to give you a few moments to post your questions. Then we are going to answer them as best as we can with the time given.